welcome. If you are watching this after the fact, welcome to Whatever Wednesday. If you are watching this live, which no one currently is, hi. Maybe somebody will join later. Hopefully we will have more polite people than we had in here yesterday. Yesterday was a little rude. But they're blocked, banned, whatever. It's done and over with. I don't deal with that shit online. So, well, I don't deal with that shit live. So I deal with it after the fact. Anyway, I am feeling better than yesterday. I am hoping that this also means that I will not be as stuffed up as I was yesterday. As we can tell, we have earbuds in. This is kind of as basic as I'm able to go right now, until I can find a better mic setup. Trying to move stuff a little bit closer without, knocking everything to hell. Because if I can just, do like one whole podcast where I don't almost knock everything off of this desk or knock my iPad over, that would be like so cool. I guess we'll see what happens. But yeah, so not really a whole lot going on. I'm feeling better. I'm not feeling so stuffed up. So I'm hoping for a good day. And I hope everybody else is having a good day. We're just going to go ahead, roll right into it like we usually do. So let's go. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Phoenix Reads. Today's episode is a series of Whatever Wednesdays. That's right, guys. It is our catch-all day. As usual, I don't read any of the stories I'm about to read with you. I will leave any usernames in the description if you want to go leave your own opinion on their post, given it is still up. My username for Reddit is in the description. Feel free to tag me in stories you'd like to hear me read. Let's get started. I am going to listen to that real quick. Sounds pretty good. It would probably help if my volume wasn't turned like all the way up though, so. But yeah, so we just gonna go ahead and add that. I do my thing. If my keyboard will come up. And it's episode 4. Because we're like one behind everything else. So as usual, we're probably just going to end up doing what we usually do. So I'm going to try and switch between Petty Revenge and my catch-all. I still haven't put them all together, so, why would I do something like that? But yeah, so we're going to start off with, I think, 2 of the catch-all, then do 2 of our Petty Revenge, and then just kind of go back and forth until we reach our time. So, yeah. Hey everybody, I hope you guys are all having a great Wednesday so far, or if you had a great Wednesday if you're listening to this at the end of the day. We're just going to kind of just jump right into it. It is Whatever Wednesday. I figure we'll switch between my catch-all folder and, my Petty Revenge one. I feel like the Petty Revenge stuff needs to stay on Wednesdays, and our catch-all day is like the perfect day for that. So we're just going to go ahead and roll right into it. My 28F sister 35F is demanding I either abort or let her adopt my baby. Yikes. Like, what is up with that? Like, why? Okay, let's get into it and it'll tell us, hopefully. I, 28F, am currently 19 weeks pregnant. My partner, 29M, and I are very excited as this is our first baby and we have been trying for a few months. So, what we know so far, they are, late 20s and they are excited. That means they want this baby, okay? So, I don't understand why the sister is demanding this baby. That's like, how entitled can you be? We announced the pregnancy a month ago at a dinner party we hosted, and everyone seemed surprised and overjoyed. My sister, 35F, who I will call K, immediately burst into tears and asked me how could I do this to her. I stared at her and asked, "What?" She started ranting, saying that I always got everything I wanted, which is not true. I worked hard for all that I have. And that she knew I got pregnant just so I could rub her infertility in her face. Wow. Okay, then. Okay. She screamed at me for about 5 minutes about how I didn't deserve to be a mother and how she should have been the one pregnant right now. Is she even in a relationship? Like, that's kind of part of getting pregnant, is having a partner to get pregnant with. I mean, I guess I guess I don't know. Maybe we'll read on and maybe it'll tell us. I also need to mark since I'm going back and forth. My parents left with her soon after, and the party was basically over. I was really disturbed by my sister's reactions because we had been pretty close before, and she had never done anything like this. Kay called me the next day, apologizing for how she acted at my announcement and asked if we could meet up for coffee. Bless you. Sorry, the cat sneezed. I accepted. We met up and she pretended as though nothing had happened. Then she started a big speech about her infertility, how heartbreaking it is to be growing a life inside of her just to lose it, and how she had always wanted children of her own. Is that what infertility is? Because I thought infertility is you couldn't get pregnant, unless that's just the thing with men. Like, I didn't know if infertility also spanned to not being able to carry a baby full term. I guess I'm not really sure, because I guess to me, infertility is the ability to not get pregnant. I'm not sure if it also includes not being able to carry a baby to full term. I guess I'm not sure. And how she always wanted children of her own. She then proceeded to ask me if I could consider getting an abortion to make things fair, or letting her adopt my baby. I stared at her and asked if she was serious. Kay said she was. I just dropped my part of the bill on the table and left. Elle texted me a rant. I have no idea who Elle is. Texted me a rant that night about how I made Kay cry and about how all they wanted was to be parents. Okay, so I guess Elle is Kay's partner. So Kay does have a partner. And how all they wanted was to be parents. And that this meant so much to them, and I owed them for being more successful than them. What? Okay. The audacity of these people. And I and my partner invested many years into our jobs, and we have worked very hard to earn what we earn now. I told them that my partner and I had been hoping for kids too, and that I was not giving up my baby. He hung up. She later sent me a long letter, so not even a text, a letter, snail mail, 4 pages. I wonder if it's back and front or just 4 single pages. Sorry. For some people, sidebar. For some people, I think they count each front of the page, 1 page. So I'm wondering if it's or if they mean full page, a full page of paper full. Sorry. She sent me a long letter, 4 pages, about how she had always wanted to be a mother, and could I consider either abortion or letting her adopt my baby, how I should care about my older sister's happiness, how she would make a better mom, how the oldest kid should always have the first grandchild. Okay. How the oldest kid should always have the first grandchild, and how I could always just have another baby since it was so easy for me to conceive. After that, she quieted down some, and I thought we were done with this, except it wasn't. She had posted my sonogram on her Facebook and captioned it, "Elle and I are expecting. We can't wait to meet our little princess." Yo. I was seeing red. I texted her and demanded she take the post down. No reply. I texted Elle. No reply. So I called my mother and told her what happened. She was able to make Kay take the post down, luckily enough. Kay has called me petty for calling my mom and has continued to demand I give up my baby. I sent her a letter explaining that I had enough of her nonsense. I am keeping my baby and that I recommend she get some help. I added that if she continues, I will not hesitate to call 999. So For those who don't know, that is emergency services. I want to say in like Europe, like London type era. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, if anybody knows for sure. But so this does not take place in the United States. This weekend, however, was the absolute last straw. My mom and dad have the spare key to my house, and while she was over at their house for brunch, she took the key. While my partner and I were at work, she broke into our house and stole all of the clothing, blankets, nappies, bottles, and pretty much any other item we had bought for the baby, except furniture. It was later returned after my mom found it in her car. I called 999, but they told me I couldn't do anything because I had no proof because it was all returned. What the fuck? Sorry, I needed a moment to kind of like comprehend everything because this is a long one. Like, it's got updates and everything. My partner and I are moving in April, but I'm still scared my sister will find out where we live and take my child. I get that she's upset and jealous due to her infertility, but that shouldn't mean I have to give up my baby. My parents know about this, and they have been doing their best to get her some help. She doesn't want to adopt because she wants a child that's her own flesh and blood. I'm due in August, and the stress she's causing cannot and will not be good for me or the baby. My partner is looking into a cease and desist letter. Is there anything else I should do or say? I'm scared for my baby. Now, this update comes March 28th of 2022. The support I've received from this website is overwhelming. Thank you all for your comments, although I couldn't reply to all of them. They are appreciated. We've had the locks changed, cameras installed, and a Ring doorbell. I've started saving every letter and screenshotting every message from my sister has sent and plan to take them to court for a restraining order very soon. I really, really hope she gets it, and I hope we find out. We have also been seriously documenting everything. Good, because honestly, documentation is like the best thing you can do in a situation like this, especially if you have called the police and they won't do anything. Documentation is your best form because obviously your next steps are going to be court. My husband and I are planning a trip to Ireland for our anniversary next week. Ooh, that would be fun. And it's going to be good to clear our heads from my sister. I've called 999 to report her for harassment, and they gave her a warning, which, to be fair, sorry, my foot's slipping. I want to put my opinion on this a little bit. I know that when it's just them getting a warning or they're not getting arrested or anything like that, I know it sounds disappointing, but what you're still doing is you're leaving a paper trail now with the police. So when you go to court, before you go to the police station, ask for all the reports connected to this person, and you can be like, look, we have called the cops. They have tried to do their best. This is our next step besides jail. Because a lot of the times, harassment, somebody won't be like put in jail and then put to prison for harassing. You actually have to take them to court. So it sounds shitty, but sorry, my throat is still drying out a little bit. So Iowa cannot make up her mind what weather she wants to have, so allergies. And they gave her a warning. She's contacted me saying that if I won't give her my child, I can at least pay for multiple rounds of IVF. The fucking audacity of this sister. The sisacity. That didn't sound as good as I thought it would. Which I have not replied to other than refusing. She's been begging my parents to convince me to give up my baby, which they refuse to do. Thank God at least the parents like have some sense, because there's been a lot of times that we've come across where the parents are just enabling behavior like this, and I'm so glad that they're not. They've also been given a statement that basically says that if they give her my contact information, they will not see my baby, to which they have agreed. Again, we love parents that do not enable this kind of shitty behavior. Like, it's like a breath of fresh air to see that it's not, like, that they're not doing it. I've since changed my phone number and we are moving very soon. My sister does not know our new address. She actually stood on our stoop for 20 minutes a few days ago, banging on our door and yelling. My husband opened a window and told her that if she didn't leave, he would let the dog out and threatened to call the police. I mean, but wouldn't the dog, like, know who she is? Like, I don't know. To me, that sounds kind of like an empty threat. We have a rather small but hyper puppy who jumps on everyone and barks a lot, and she is quite scared of dogs. Oh, okay, so that makes sense. Actually, so this made her leave. I started working from home last week, as did my husband, and we followed the advice of one of the comments, washed all of the baby stuff, as well as made sure that none of the food in our kitchen was messed with. None was, luckily. We're planning on getting a restraining order as soon as possible, and are looking forward to our trip. I'm already sick of being pregnant and not even in the 3rd trimester. I just want my baby. Thank you all again for your wonderful advice. I may update you again when the baby is born. Okay. So, I don't have another update. That's all I have for right now. If I come across, I may try to look up and see if I can find an update. That would be nice, right? But speaking of an update, I want to say, go away. I want to say I have an update from one of our stories last week. Okay, so yes, I have found the update to this one. The one where the daughter-in-law gave birth and doesn't want a relationship. The one that, the mom that most definitely, oh gosh darn it, wasn't working. So we're going to do this one next because this is the update. I realized I had an update for it, like, after I finished and was going through and putting my stuff in the comment or stuff in the description for Spotify and everything. So yeah, update to my 50F daughter-in-law, 24F, gave birth and doesn't seem to want a relationship with me, making it difficult to have a relationship with my son, 31M, and new granddaughter. The one that, you know, none of it was her fault, and the daughter had post-preeclampsia or post-eclampsia, and she was just like, I just think that she doesn't understand. Like, I think it's all mental. That one. Well, I apologized to my daughter-in-law for all of the things my son listed. Since I had received feedback about it being my son's job to handle his family, I told him my apologies to pass along, and then I waited. However, I'm sorry. However, I got no response from B. No thank you, no trying to bury the hatchet, nothing. Personally, I don't think I would respond back either because honestly, she kind of sucks. So, last Friday, I made an appointment with an attorney to discuss grandparents' rights. First off, discuss grandparents' rights. Secondly, grandparent rights only exist if you already have a pre-existing relationship with the grandchild. You don't just get to suddenly have grandparents' rights. Like, that's not a real thing. And had that appointment on Tuesday. The lawyer told me I had a good chance with my older granddaughter, but it would likely go nowhere with the baby. I filled out some paperwork to get the process started, but Tuesday night I was questioning if I was doing the right thing. Spoiler, you weren't. I called one of my friends to discuss and was seriously considering not moving forward with it after talking to her. Then yesterday I received this message from B. This is B. I just wanted to let you know that friend told us you're intending to go for grandparents' rights and also shared everything that you've had to say about me. Let me first say that I have not once kept either of the girls from you, and I certainly have not kept Son from you. He is a grown-ass man, and if he wanted to talk to you, he was free to. You have not asked to come over and visit since Son picked you up. You cannot expect us to, 1, read your mind, or 2, drop everything and come pick you up. We have a new baby, and we have our own lives. I also have not said a word to you about what happened during delivery/postpartum because I have no energy to argue with you. Son said you apologized, and I told him I appreciated it, even though it was not a real apology. You apologized for what you did to hurt my feelings, not that my feelings were hurt. I don't have time for your drama. For the record, though, what you said was absolutely disgusting. I almost died. It had nothing to do with my mental health. Since you have decided to go for grandparents' rights, we will have no direct contact with you. All contact will need to go through our lawyer. You have been removed from my Facebook. You are not permitted to post any pictures you have been sent of my child on social media, and older granddaughter's mom feels the same way. Regarding older granddaughter, we intend to have something written up by and sent, I'm assuming it means by our lawyer, and sent to you by the end of the week regarding this and ceasing contact with us. I assume we will be served with your visitation paperwork this week as well. You will get no pictures or phone calls going forward. In fact, you will be blocked. I also hope you realize you will absolutely lose this case. Your house is not suitable to live in, and you would not be able to pass a drug test. When you lose, we will not resume contact with you. You lost your chance at being a part of our kids' lives by deciding to go to the most nuclear option instead of just communicating with us. I tried to respond to her and tell her that I didn't want to go through with it anymore, I reacted a pit of anger, but she won't answer calls or texts, so I assumed I really am blocked. I called my son to tell him about the text she sent, and he said he knew about it and it was a lot nicer than what he wanted to send me. So that's where I am at this point. I am going to show my lawyer the text so that it can show how unwilling to forgive and work with me she is, and hopefully it will resolve quickly so I can at least get visitation rights with my oldest granddaughter. Good for them, in all fairness. And honestly, I think what she sent was a lot nicer than I think anybody would send, which I understand that they're trying to be civil, because if it were to ever go to court, they could be like, well, you didn't have to talk to her that way. Be like, yeah, she didn't have to be such a fucking bitch, but yet here we are. So for that, I'm thankful that we had an update. I completely forgot that I had an update for it because I saved it for right afterwards. So I don't know why these other ones are in front of it, but I digress. And now we're going to move on to our third one. I think this is going to be our last one for right now. Not like last one, but in my kind of catch-all album. Then we're going to move over to some petty revenge. My son, 22M, cut contact with me, 43F, 4 years ago due to getting involved with his friend, 22M. He contacted me 2 days ago and wants to meet up this Friday. So you done hooked up and did the nasty with his friend, and then you are upset that he cut contact with you. I'd be pissed off if my daddy tried to hook up with one of my friends. That's gross. Note, I understand that coming on the subreddit made me open to criticism. I know. That was a note at the top. I'll be judged, but here I am to learn how to improve the situation. I don't know if you can improve the situation. Like, unless you, like, apologize and never try to hook up with one of your son's friends again, because that's gross. I had my son at the age of 21 years old. His father passed away 2 years later, so it was me and my son against the world. Still doesn't make it okay to start hitting on your son's friends. That's gross. When it came to my dating life, I haven't been so lucky. I did some random hookups here and there and very short-term relationships throughout my son's childhood. In the beginning of my son's senior year, he brought a friend home. Let's call him Max. He was basically at our house every other weekend. I was really happy because my son doesn't have a lot of friends. So he doesn't even have a lot of friends, and you gonna hook up with the one good friend he has? My girl. Why? He usually keeps to himself. I really liked Max as a person. He was a real sweet guy. We had nice short conversations whenever he was at our place. We exchanged numbers just in case. He would start sending me messages and jokes. I would respond back. My son didn't mind at all. I'm a little worried about this one because I kind of accidentally put a, what's the word I'm looking for? An arrow over some of the words. So I'm hoping I can figure out what it says. After 4 months of coming to our house, Max texts me he wants to meet up for coffee out of nowhere. I texted him I texted him, I guess asking if it was something urgent or about my son. He responded saying it's something important. I was curious, so I decided to meet up with him. When I met up with him, he looked very nervous. I asked him what was the meeting about. He told me I can't tell my son about it. He then confessed to me that he was developing feelings for me. Man, that's a terrible friend and terrible mom. He told me, I was taken aback by this. I told him that while I was flattered, I had to think about my son. He pleaded with me to just give him a chance. It was so long that I found somebody interested in me like that. Max was already 18 when he was introduced to me, and he was a very handsome man. I said yes, but with the condition that it would only be casual dating and my son doesn't have to know about it. Woo! I mean, you know me, devil's advocate. At least it was after the guy was 18. You know, at least she didn't meet him, before he was 18, when he was younger. I guess, I don't know. I just still don't sit right with me. Especially if it made your son upset, you know? That's what really gets me. We met up the next week at his place. I told my son I was going out with my friends. After an hour into the date, we slept with each other. Then we promised to meet up in the close future. Our meetups became very frequent, and as such, our relationship grew stronger. I was beginning to fall in love with Max. We learned more about each other. Max was becoming my main source of joy. I wanted the weekend to start early just to be with Max. It was hard for me to pay attention to anything else in my life. Sorry if my voice keeps cutting out. Looking back, it seems that my relationship with Max had a negative effect on the relationship with my son. I had to come up with different excuses on why I wasn't around. I missed out on his soccer games. My girl, you are literally ruined. You are literally doing the big no-no of dating is your kids come first. I don't care how old your kids are. I don't care who the fuck you dating. Your kids come first. Stuff like that is stuff that you're going to miss out on, and you're going to wish that you hadn't missed out on later on in life. I think I really messed up when I missed his birthday dinner because I was with Max. Bitch. I told him that work held me up. That's when you should have known, when you missed missing some soccer games, you should have known. Missing his birthday is when you should have fucking known. It was a week before my son's flight to college that I got a text from Max that my son found out about us. I got it in the middle of work. I was scared to go back home. When my son arrived home, he never uttered a word about the situation. He just pretended that nothing ever happened. He seemed very cold to me. Never looked me in the eye and gave me one-word responses. When it came to dropping him off, he didn't even give me a hug or look back at me when it was time for the flight to even wave goodbye. When I drove back home, Max's car was in my driveway. It was the first time I saw him ever since I got that text from him. I saw he had a black eye and a broken nose when he stepped out of his car. Yikes. We hugged each other tightly. I cried in his arms. Once we stepped into my house, I told him how bad I felt to what I did to my son. The worst part, I wasn't sad my son was leaving, but relieved. Instead, Max comforted me, saying he's just as much his fault for this situation, which is true. Max stayed the night. What? The next day he proposed to me, I accepted. My girl. It's been 4 years now. Max and I have a 2-year-old daughter. He works as a mechanic. The airport was the last time I saw my son. He blocked me on everything. I asked for his grandparents if he ever contacted them. His grandfather told me that my son told them everything. He said he will take care of my son, but he told me to never contact my son or them again. Okay, I hate it when they say, like, my son's grandfather, but it's like, which grandfather? Is that, like, your dad, or was it, like, your husband's dad? Because, holy shit. 2 days ago, I got a call from my son that he's going to be in town and wants to meet up in person this Friday. I said yes. What should I do or say when I meet him? So, just a heads up, we have an update. And I am going to read that right now. I didn't know I had, again, I didn't realize I had an update. So, we're going to read that and continue on with it, because, woo! Update, my son 22M cut contact with me 43F 4 years ago due to getting involved with his friend 22M. He contacted me 2 days ago and wants to meet up this Friday. And then this one did have, like, the link to the original post, which I think is actually how I found it. I found the update and then I clicked on the link and have both. For the few that gave me actual advice, I went to meet up with my son without Max or my daughter. So it's like, does your daughter even know, like, she has a brother? Or, like, does he even know that he has a sister? Because that's, like, because I don't know if it would make it better if he knew that you got married and had a kid together. You know? I can't believe you guys did get married and have a kid together after your son broke his nose and gave him a black eye. Like, you'd think that that'd be like, all right, this is getting too much. I need to take a step back. This is the update episode. It was at a local coffee shop. I found him sitting in one of the booths at the coffee shop. He was on his phone. I was really scared. A part of me wanted to tackle him with a hug and beg for his forgiveness. Another part of me wanted to leave before he noticed me. I said his name to get his attention. He didn't even leave his seat. He just looked at me and said hi. I asked if I could sit. I started asking about how he is doing. He said he was fine. I was about to apologize, but he interrupted me saying, "Before you apologize, I want to understand how the relationship between Max and you even started." I started telling him everything. When it came to mentioning my meetup, he interjected me and started asking me questions that were difficult to answer. He asked, "So all the times that you were going out, you were lying to me about where you were going, weren't you?" I nodded. "What about the times I asked to spend with you? Did you lie to me so you could meet up with Max instead?" I started tearing up. It was hard being there. Did you miss out on events to be with Max? What about my birthday? That was when I started crying. He told me to save my tears. He said he figured that out soon after he learned about the relationship with Max. He just wanted to hear it from me. He then asked me if I was still with Max. I told him I was married to him and I have a daughter with him. He seemed to need a minute to process that. Very understandably so. Then he started speaking. He told me he never had an issue with me dating or meeting someone. In fact, he hoped I found love. He understands that I needed companionship and a type of love he couldn't offer as my son. He told me throughout all these years he felt conflicted because both Max and I were both consenting adults, and adults have a right to find happiness. My son admitted he shouldn't. It says he shouldn't Max. I think he's saying that he wished it wouldn't have been Max, and that he was glad he didn't press charges. Oh, that he shouldn't have attacked Max. So he admitted he shouldn't have attacked Max and was glad he didn't press charges. He said despite all of that, there were some things that he can't get over. He told me he can't get over the fact that I didn't take him into consideration when it came to pursuing the relationship. It was also hurtful to realize that I would value a romantic relationship to the point of being willing to throw away a close relationship with him for it. That's kind of how I felt too. If I had the attitude of being done raising him and finally pursuing my own life, then that's valid, according to him. However, I would have no right to want to have a close relationship with him in return. Again, that's where he said he believes me. He told me he wouldn't have forgotten me when he left for college. He wouldn't have wanted me to move close to him after he got a job if he couldn't move close to me. In this ideal world, we would live close so we could still see each other even after he had a family. Oh, okay, here. Sorry, the words were different. He said he loves himself and his life too much to be back in my life. My son said he works as a mechanical engineer now. He is engaged to the love of his life. She was also raised by a single mom like him until she was 16 when her stepdad, I'm assuming, stepped into the picture. It just says stepdad into picture. Both of them have welcomed him into the family. He told me his future in-laws and his fiancée are his family now. He said he was getting a job near them. He finally admitted that he just wanted closure before permanently cutting me off. He told me not to contact him or his family at all. He made it clear he wouldn't be there for me at my last stage of life or even come to my funeral. He made it clear he won't even hold my hand when I pass away. I won't have the privilege of knowing his fiancée or his future kids. He made it clear that if his half-sister ever contacts him as an adult, he'll be upfront on why he doesn't want a relationship with her. He said goodbye to me and left. I cried so hard that I got the attention of the people in the coffee shop. I was crying on the way back home. I don't even know how much therapy can even help. I never felt so much emotional pain in my life before. What do I do now? I mean, well, for one, you respect your son's wishes. He doesn't want to contact you. He doesn't want you to contact him. He doesn't want anything to do with you. And as crazy as it might sound, because one, you guys were two consenting adults. You got married. You've carried on with your life. He is entitled to his feelings. You abandoned him for a booty call, basically. Not even a booty call. You abandoned him for a relationship that you lied to him about. Like, if you had just been open and honest and been like, hey, so I'm seeing somebody, like, you could have balanced both things. You could have balanced seeing the guy and also being there for your son. Single moms do it all the time. They date while also still being a parent to their children because the children come first. I don't care how fucking old they are. Your kids come first. Just end of story on that. So, I mean, honestly, you want to know what you should do? Leave your kid the fuck alone. Ooh, I think this is 5. Figure it out. That was a terrible 5, but at least I know what it means. All right, we are moving on to petty revenge now. I think that is what we will finish this episode off with, is our petty revenge stories. Going to deduct $125 from my final paycheck? That'll cost you. Once upon a time, I was a travel agent and accepted a job at a small family-run agency in Austin. Both owners also worked there along with their daughter, and they were not good managers. They were also really cheap bastards. When I joined, I brought the agency a ton of business, including a very big corporate account. Okay. When I finally had enough of all the stupid inter-office conflict, I applied and got a job at another agency, where I had always wanted to work and gave a 2 weeks notice. Instead, I was summarily escorted out the door within minutes of giving my notice. Seeing as how they said Austin, I'm assuming they mean Texas. And I'm fairly certain that that's illegal. Because that's I can't think of the word right now, but it's like a reaction to giving his 2 weeks, and so technically that's illegal. He could sue them. Oh, okay. This was back in the medieval days when we all had a Rolodex where we kept our important contacts, and the owners refused to allow me to take it with me. I knew the names and numbers of all the clients that I wanted to take with me anyways. Whatever. Oh, well, that's nice. At least you knew and didn't, you weren't just, up shit creek without a paddle. Whatever. I had worked there for 2 years by this point, and 8 months prior, the owners had sent me on a familiarization trip, which was a pretty customary way to allow an agent to experience a destination in order to better sell it. As I had never skied before, they sent me to Crest Buttle for 4 days. The entire trip cost them $125, which included my airline ticket, shuttle, lodging, ski pass, equipment, and 1 morning of beginner lessons. This must have been in like the 90s or something, because damn, like that's cheap. Meals were on me, which were fine. When I received my last paycheck, they had written on the stub that they had deducted the $125. That doesn't make any sense. Why would they deduct from your pay what they... Again, whatever. I immediately spent the entire morning calling everyone that I had ever worked with there, whether I really enjoyed working with them or not. If they had spent the money with me, they got a call. Oh, if they had spent money with me, they got a call. Everyone. The big account, of course, came with me along with 99% of the clientele, including those clients that I had developed through the last agency. Ran into the American Airlines rep at a function about 6 months later, and he told me that the owner had whined and complained that I lost him $250,000 in all that time period alone. All for a measly $125. Hell yeah. I mean, I gotta admit, I don't know a whole lot about airline stuff, but I can only imagine, like, imagine losing that much money because you decided to take that money back out of your person's paycheck. Woo! Make your Facebook bio about my pregnancy? Okay, now it's viral how rancid you are. Alright, so my sister-in-law, husband's brother's wife, has really not liked me for some time now. It started with gossip while being fake nice to my face. I fucking hate people like that. When we found out, we told her off, and she hasn't let it go. A couple years ago, we announced our first pregnancy, and she went around gossiping about that. So I decided, with this next pregnancy, to wait till I'm 20 weeks, halfway, to announce and hopefully reduce the chances of something so asinine happening. Excuse me, I hope nobody heard my stomach growl just now. I have not had breakfast. Usually I eat before this. We announced just a few weeks ago, and lo and behold, out of all things she does, she makes her public Facebook bio FFS, so for fuck's sake, be more consistent on your birth control, skull emoji. I was shocked, but also not. But I would hope, considering she's older than me and my husband, maybe she would take the high road now and ignore any negative feelings about it. Something's telling me, she didn't. I expect her to talk shit about me at this point, and I'm not surprised. But about my unborn baby, my family, no. What the hell, that is crossing the line. So my revenge, it's already public. You want attention? Okay. I made a TikTok with the screenshot, and now 80K people and counting are commenting, talking about how jealous and weird she is. I suppose I could be more petty, but imagining her seeing the mass negative response to what she did is very satisfying. And that is my petty revenge, and it feels great. I love ones like this because it's like, you just did all you did. It's like the Jolly Good Ginger from TikTok. She made it public, you just made it publicer, and now I'm making it publicer. If you have not seen this, let's go look for it, because that would be absolutely fantastic. Don't steal commissions from your employees, which I feel like that should be something that should be known anyway, but anyway. We worked at one of those car lots where they sell you a $2,500 car in 60 or 90 inflated payments with interest so high you end up paying $25K for it. Yeah. Office had the ridiculous selling sales manager business model where your boss competes with you for commission on sales. Oh, that sucks. Thus, the boss's success means your financial deficits and vice versa. She was the boss. No one else above her in our lot. Anyone higher rank was across town at the underwriting offices. She stole every sale she could get away with from me when I was hired, and she said, "Your success is my success." Liar. She hated every single sale I made because in her head, it should have been her extra commission on her next check. So finally, a lady comes in and her name is under mine in our system. The only person I ever saw, the powers that be, replace the car she was buying when it broke down. Must have gotten a lawyer. But my boss has already set her in set her in her office. She lowers her voice to tell her she is so sorry. It's my sale. I'm not that bad. But the lady, of course, thinks, well, this is a terrible thing and demands to stay with her. My boss says, well, if you want me over her, that's a different story, and coaches her on switching salesperson 101. I'm livid. I come back the next 2 days while deciding I'm quitting. This is the last straw. But the lady is really difficult, and no matter what my boss does, she can't seem to satisfy her. Finally, she spends all day tracking down parts and having the car spruced up for the lady, down to cleaning it herself out there sweating and whining because the detail guy sucked. Lady comes in at the end of the day, still unhappy, has her grown son with her, boss is pissed, drops Miss Nice Sale Lady routine, and is outright trying to badger them into this car. I find out it's because there will be no commission on this sale since it's a replacement. Yes, they are being picky because they can be. I've decided to quit, so I leave at closing time, even though we are supposed to stay with the other if the sale runs late. These people had almost decided to get the car. They're standing in front of it talking. I get in my car as I'm leaving. I pull up beside them and roll down my window and say, don't let her bully you into buying anything you don't want. It's your money. You don't have to get anything unless you want it. Not because she decided for you. The man and woman are like, I know that's right. And I said, keep looking until you find the one. It's her job to show you every single car if that's what you want. And driving away, I see my boss walk out smiling because she thinks it's over. And I sat long enough at the exit to see the smile wiped right off her stupid, greedy face when she realized she'd be there all night. Very nice. I just love petty revenge stuff because it's not like there's really much for me to say about it. It's just... it's so satisfying to hear some people get their comeuppance. Lying hiring manager gets rewarded. In between preferred work, I took a supplement position that had a hard track for promotion, specifically due to some past work experience. Who knows, I may stay here if it works out. My first few weeks were to be doing general helper work, distribution center, to become familiar with the workflow before I took a scheduling job in the front office from someone being promoted. I'd spend the last hour of the day sitting with this guy and going over the process. I helped with that day. He was friendly, welcome to the team kind of guy. Literally, after 4 days of this going well, he suddenly changes his friendly demeanor and doesn't want me to check in anymore. I ask if there's a problem, and we are still proceeding with the arrangement of my being employed. He said, oh, absolutely, no problems. You are still our guy. I'm just busy with important new projects right now. Keep working in the warehouse, and we'll pick up again in a week or so. Given that sharp change in friendliness towards me became borderline rude, I smelled a rat. So I created a rat trap every day for the next week. At the end of the day, I'd take the boxes of the most special, also expensive and hard to reorder inventory parts that was critical to making their shipments and hide them deep in the materials rack. In the morning, if I still had a job, I'd pull them back out and business as usual. A little insurance policy that kept me from being angry in the moment. Make sense? Then, it only took 1 week before I was unceremoniously and without explanation let go. Literally wouldn't talk to me about it. We don't need to explain, just hit the road, and now actually rude about it. What happened to friendly? WTH. Turns out, soon after I was hired and as agreed, someone in the office unexpectedly had to leave due to a medical condition. This shook up the office structure, leaving me with no position. But rather than say that, which would have been understandable, they froze me out. Then kicked me out without explanation. The rat trap now sprung. I heard they had a shipping crisis for a bit that took weeks to unfug up. Since they were sure my dismissal was a rude surprise, I apparently was never on the radar for any of it. Petty, yes, but the smell of rat senses were tingling and they were rewarded. I mean, like, I feel like, I'm trying to think. It's like, I understand where OP is coming from, but at the same time, and I also understand that they just want to cross it, like, the whole, like, really fucked up way. And honestly, like, I feel like they definitely deserved it. So, like, just be honest with your employees. I don't understand why employers are so against being blunt and honest with their employees. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, if you don't think someone's a fit, you know, tell them, be like, hey, I don't know if you're fit for this situation. I understand you want this position, but there's also somebody else that's already in the company that wants their position. Maybe we can switch stuff around and see if you would qualify and or be a fit. You know, actually try and put some effort into your employees, and you'd be surprised about, like, what happens. Because with my last job that I recently quit, I got tired of being the, like, example, and I also got tired of being made fun of behind my back, which was still within earshot, because I worked in a very small area with other people. And it was the manager that did it, too, because it was like, alright, just fucking tell me how you feel and I'll fucking leave. Which I did, eventually. And I think we've got, this one's a really, really short one. So, we might actually get to 10 today. Entitled sister demands bathroom, and so I. That's all it says. Back when I lived with my dad, we only had one bathroom for the whole family. I've said this before, when we get a house or when we move from this apartment, my only demand, like the only thing I demand I have in this new place is 2 toilets. At least 2 toilets. Because my 7-year-old has this nasty habit of every time he's home and I'm home at the same time and I go to sit down to either take a pee or take a shit, all of a sudden he's running to the bathroom going, I have to go too. Every time without fail. And I'm so over it. Sorry, that's how I feel about one bathrooms and families. My little sister was my dad and stepmom's child, so she was beyond spoiled and favorited. I would literally get grounded for using her chocolate mix to make myself chocolate milk. Since my dad caves for anything she whines about, she always gets what she wants, and she has an entitled, snobby attitude because of it. Growing up as that sibling is, well, not the entitled one, but the one that's like, oh, you're dog shit? I feel this. I am with OP on this. She demanded for me to get out of the bathroom when I was in under 4 minutes. She wanted to argue through the door, making it seem like she's top priority in the house. I said I'll be out in 1 minute. She huffed and stomped away because she didn't get what she wanted. Boo-hoo. I used that minute to lather the floor with conditioner. Once I carefully stepped out of the bathroom, I called her name and said I was out. I hear her running to the bathroom dramatically and then thud. Probably the most satisfying thing I'd ever felt. I didn't actually think it would work, but she was running, which most definitely helped. I bet not tell you what, but she never ran in the fucking bathroom again. Oh. We are making it to 10 because we have enough time. Whoop. Grocery store Karen. I don't think we've had, like, too many, like, Karen stories on here, so this will be nice. I think this will be a nice little change of petty revenge fate. Or pace. I can't take credit for this one. My uncle is a 76-year-old veteran. Ooh! And still as sharp as a tack. He's quite the character and always cracks me up with his stories. As some as you may remember, early in the pandemic when no one really knew how COVID was spreading, the only stores open were supermarkets. They essentially made every aisle a one-way aisle. I remember that. I remember the little arrows and, oh god, this seems like it was yesterday, but also still so far away. And that everyone was supposed to go in the same direction. So up one aisle and down the next. The problem is that if you forgot an item and went back, you risk going the wrong direction to retrieve it. Or having to go down the aisle next to it just to come back up. I remember a lot of people not really observing the signs, as this was kind of absurd. Which I did understand, but for whatever reason, it bothered the absolute shit out of me when I would go down an aisle that was very clearly marked. Like, it had the arrows on the floor and everything. Only to look up and see some cunt coming towards me, and it's like, bitch, follow the arrows. Like, I know that it's not, like, it shouldn't be, like, that big of a deal to me, but it was, because I was just like, again, like, it was a pandemic. Nobody knew what was going on. We didn't know the depths of COVID at the time. We just knew that we had, all I knew is I had arrows that I was supposed to follow, and I was following them, and when other people didn't, I'd be like, what the fuck? I digress. Most supermarkets at the time were also offering special hours for seniors so they could shop in less crowded stores, usually 7, 8 a.m., which, again, that was true. It was like, I think every like other day or every other like Monday, Tuesday, they would do that. I think that's what our Walmart did. I'm not 100% sure. My aunt and uncle went grocery shopping during this hour. One day, while waiting in line to pay, my aunt realized she forgot an item and asked my uncle to go retrieve it. But when he got to the aisle, he was facing the wrong direction. Seeing as how, though, there was only one other person in the aisle, he went down it in the wrong direction rather than having to go down the aisle next to it, only to come back up. I do kind of understand that. But as he started making his way down the aisle, a Karen, clearly not a senior, entered with her cart from the other end of the aisle, going in the right direction. She started making her way towards my uncle, and when she got 5 feet away, she loudly said, "You were going in the wrong direction." My uncle, who was looking for his item on the shelf, was startled and turned around. "What?" Karen, even louder this time, said, "You're going the wrong way." My uncle took a moment to reflect and said, "You know what? You're right. My parole officer told me the same thing. He said, 'Eddie, you've been going the wrong way your whole life.' When I was in prison," Karen's eyes grew wide and she couldn't get away from him fast enough. I kind of love little moments like that where people can just run with it. I saw a comedian show when I was like on DVD when I was in high school, and it's one of my favorite things where this guy, his wife would take him shopping even though he hated going shopping, and they were at Walmart, and you know Walmart has a hunting section with guns, and so he would go up to the person and go like, "Give me the gun, Herb." And he's like, "My name's not Herb and I don't know who you are." And so he'd look at the salesperson and go, "Uh-oh," and then run away, and then he would look back and the salesperson's trying to take the gun from the person. So I love little moments like that. It just cracks me up. But I think 10 is going to be my max today, so we are going to go ahead and call it. Thanks to everyone for listening today. I hope you all enjoyed the podcast. If you know someone who likes my content, feel free to send me their way in a share. If you would like to send me a message with your own story, rant, question, unpopular opinion, or if you want me to tell others how you fucked up today, or any day, send me a message via any of my social media found in the description below. Just look for my cute little avatar you see on whatever app you're listening on. Please, give a rating if you liked what you heard today. I hear that they help out tremendously. And as always, I will catch y'all next time. Bye! Waiting for it to do its thing. Anyway, everybody listening on YouTube, I want to thank you guys all for hanging out today. If you liked what you heard, feel free to press the buttons that you see down below this video. The like, the subscribe, the bell if you want to get notified when it comes out. I upload every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at noon Central Time. But as always, I will see you guys next time.